Check 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, yes. And this is that rare case of where you see Alex Lamont, aka Lemsy, with BareFace. Right now, you're in the yard. Yeah, we're outside, innit? This is my hoop that I've been hooping on since I was like 6. Don't ask me to shoot because I'm no good. I used to be okay, but terrible nowadays, innit? Um, but yeah, man, this is just the space where I'm gonna just use it for giving some insights, some updates, maybe even some general musings of just like what's going on with me, around with me, or just what I think is interesting in it. And today, or for this time anyway, this is the day before that I'm going to South by Southwest. I'm going with Spoke because we have been nominated for the Innovation Awards audio category. Please wish us luck. I don't know when you might see this or not, but anyway, just please wish us luck. Hopefully, by the time you've seen this, we're the winners. Boop, 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 boop. But yeah, I'm going to Austin, Texas, for the very first time, which is going to be very, very, very fun is what I imagine. Very, very fun. I'm looking forward to it. There's a few dope artists who are going to be out there. A lot of dope conversations and everything. A lot of them around like AI and tech and creativity and well-being and music and how all of these different things kind of assimilate. And I guess for right now, that's actually what I want to make the main focus because I've had a few people, whether it's when I'm with Spoke or externally to Spoke and I'm describing what Spoke is, they always be like, "How the hell did you get into this? Like, what is this? Why is this? Who are you? What is da 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 da?" So yeah, I think this is just a good moment for me to just chat about it. First and foremost, as I said, I'm outside in it, so hopefully this is coming through nice and clear. And secondly, I do just want to make these as easy as possible, where it is just me having streams of consciousness go, cameras rolling, mics in my hand, and I'm good to go. And I could probably do this anywhere. So who knows? Maybe one out in Austin if I have the time and all that kind of stuff. Um, but Spoke and why it's important because yeah, even very recently I was asked to do like a kind of conversation around this whole thing called a digital twin in what is the conference called? It's something like the AI and creative writing ethics forum that's happening on the 18th of March. If you're free, feel free to head down. It's in London. I'll put the link somewhere. It is mad expensive from what I remember seeing the ticket prices, but have a look. And if it sounds interesting, by all means, please go check it out. But I probably won't be there. But I sent in a video, and it was all around this notion of a digital twin and what that is, and how AI is going to just be incorporated, whether we like it or not, as well. By the way, guys, into the space of creativity. It's already there anyway. Like we have stuff like ChatGPT that can make whole poems if you want it to. We have Open AI which can make different types of artwork or even visuals now. So we are there. We are having to have these conversations. And I think what they're trying to do at this forum is just make sure that the ethics of well-being and also just it is ethically being devised and implemented into what we do. But anyway, let me just backtrack a little bit, or a lot, I should say, into like how I've ended up in this space and why even some people even calling me to have these kind of conversations with them because I'm not that knowledgeable about artificial intelligence. If I'm totally honest with you, I'm even not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to well-being and everything like that. It's stuff that I've practiced, and there's even the tip of the iceberg that I say that I've done really and truly. So who am I? Why am I in this space? Essentially, I'm a guy who looks at writing, art, rap, creativity as the expression of the soul more than anything. A lot of it is serendipitous. A lot of it is just intrinsic. Like we feel it on a visceral level. A lot of us as artists, me in particular, I know that I do anyway. Like I'll reference the soul a lot when I do my music because it's not intellectualized. I don't think about it too much. I kind of just blah. And what comes out, I think about what I write and I structure what I write. However, it is more instinctive than it is formulaic, if that makes sense. So that's kind of been how like I've always written. And the topic of just mental well-being and me being able to like display myself emotionally and passionately has always been there in my music as well. I grew up listening to Eminem, who my parents always reminded me like, yo, you're not from that household. Like your mum is not like his mum. You can't chat about your mum like that, etc., etc., etc. But the passion was there. And so that was one thing that I took from that. Someone like a Tupac is like very much the emotions in such a Gemini way, if you want to put it that, where it's like a whole polarity of super, super soft and empathetic to like raw and aggressive and just being able to display all of it. And there's loads of different examples that kind of like help me filter out how I want to convey what I talk about. So with Spoke in particular, me and the founder of Spoke, Ariana Alexander-Sefre, we met in 2018 and we were just introduced by a mutual friend who is actually going to be in Texas as well when we're there. He just thought, cool, you independent artist, Lemzy, who's a rapper, you also do community work, you do a bunch of different things, events, etc. And you, Ariana, who you have an organization called Sweat and Sound, which is all around live well-being activities mixed with some form of live music, but it might be like more classical, so piano, violins, all that kind of stuff. I can see you two coming together to collaborate to do something sick. And initially, me and Ari didn't really know what to do. We kind of just got on and thought, cool, we'll stay in touch and then we'll just see how things go from there. Now, with Spoke, and this is what I always tell people whenever they like ask me about, oh, so Spoke, how did it come about? There's two main things. There's problem and there's solution. Problem is that for Ari, because as she is the main person who founded Spoke, and this is another thing actually, some people think because I'm the voice of it, I'm the face of it, and all this other stuff, that it's my baby, when it's not. I'm one of the founding people. I've been there since the very, very beginning. I've helped build this thing up from the ground. But in terms of the initial spark of this thing and even calling it Spoke and actualizing it, that credit goes to Ariana, 100%. But yeah, problem and solution. Problem for Ari, there was this notion of, in fact, no, not even notion of, there was real life experience, in fact. So her youngest brother, when he was around 15 years old, he had a friend who took his own life. And within like a 6-month window, there were two other people who, unfortunately, I should say trigger warning before I say any of this, actually. Sorry. I'm going to continue. But yeah, this is the space that we're in. So these are the kind of things that, like, topic of conversation, they do happen. We try not to delve into it too much, but this is the reality. So continuing. Her youngest brother, when he was 15, one of his good friends had taken his own life. And within 6 months of that time, there were another two people who had different relations who also did the same. That is a travesty in itself, but I think one of the main things for Ari at the time was, yo, I've got all of these tools and understandings from the world of well-being, like breath work and meditation and yoga and blah, 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 which I can see works for people. There is a demographic of people this works for. However, trying to convey that to her younger brother, to his friends, to some of the other people, so it's particularly like young men, it's just not translating. And for anyone who doesn't know Ariana, she's an extremely passionate person. And when you're passionate and even when you're angry, like, that can fuel you to just be like, nah, I'm flipping the table. We're doing something different because this current thing isn't working. So problem. We have clear problem. As I said, me and Ari met in 2018, and I invited her to my listening party for my first album that was called Lecky. And the theme of the album is essentially me talking to a therapist, and there's songs intermittently, there's skits and conversations that happen in between some of the tracks. And yeah, it's just a conversation that all just came from my brain. Big up my sister who ended up playing the doctor or the counselor that I was talking to on the album. I remember someone thought that was Michaela Cole, where I was like, damn, that would have been good. But, you know, my sister is way up there anyway. So yeah, she came down to my listening session, and the way that I constructed it, it was very, very intimate. There was probably 12 of us. Like, there wasn't many people, max 15, something like that in the room. And she had come with one of her friends. And the whole notion was just, we're going to press play, going to listen through to the whole thing, which is like 45 minutes or whatever. And at the end, we can talk about it, like have conversations around what you've just heard, etc. And yeah, as I said, the theme was me talking to a counselor. It's a little bit like psychodrama, though I did that first. But that kind of vibe. So everyone's sitting quietly, just listening to the music. I'll always remember Ari's feedback at the end, because she just said, yo, that was like listening to that was like a meditation session. And just from that moment, I kind of clocked as well, and I think she did as well. Because for me personally, I was just like, yeah, cool, if you say so. Like, it's just vibes, innit? It's just music to me, innit? But that was kind of like the catalyst for, aha, this is the type of thing that will translate to this demographic of people, like young guys. Hearing emotions conveyed in an artistic, contemporary, rappy kind of way makes a lot more sense than, hey, you lot who have never done yoga before, try some yoga. Hey, you lot who have never been experienced in like Wim Hof breathing or anything like that, how about there's some breathing that's intimate? Like, that's where the idea of, okay, what we're doing could kind of be developed into what I and other artists were doing could kind of be developed as the translator for this demographic of people. I can't even talk right now. Demographic of people. So, cool. This is like towards the end of 2018 anyway. Going into 2019, me and Ari tried this thing called Rapitation. So we do a couple of live rap, spoken word meditation sessions. And they're cool. But there were two main things. Number one, it's very hard to scale that kind of thing. Like, it's very hard to be like, cool, we've done one, now we're gonna do 10, and then we're gonna do this. Ain't like Top Boy where Little Sims's character is like, I got one nail shop, now I want 9 of them for Ashley Waters to just buy her. We didn't have that kind of resource or connect, unfortunately, so it wasn't that. But the second issue was also just that it was the same demographic of people coming to her show again, coming to the event again, i.e. it was very female dominated. It was, I don't want to say middle-aged, because now that I'm 31, I'm thinking these lot are probably my age when they were attending, so like 30s. But more than anything, it's like you already have access to something that will benefit your well-being. You don't need this kind of thing. You don't need this format. There's other groups or people that might need this who they're completely disenfranchised and disassociated from what's happening. So we just thought, cool, let's put a pin in that. And the concept is something that we'll try out in another vein or form some other time. So boom, 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 2019 comes, and you know how just life just goes. And then 2020 came just before the pandemic. Ari, and in this time, me and Ari kind of stayed in touch, but barely, if I'm honest. But 2020 comes just before the pandemic. She's gone to Greece. She's at a convention with different investors and everything like this, and she's met the first person who's invested, a guy called Tom Adiola, who's also become our chairperson. From there, she's met Michael Mayer. He's very experienced in product design. He actually, and a small team of people, created Jamie Oliver's app. And that's where the whole notion of, Spoke being an app, at this time wasn't even called Spoke, but this thing becoming an app was coming from. Because how else can you democratize something, i.e. make it scalable, make it an actual business, so then it's something that people can invest in. But more than anything, make it reachable for people. It's accessible, because a lot of people have the internet and a lot of people have a mobile phone. A lot of people can get an app, whereas not loads of people can attend a show all the time, kind of thing. So 2020, pandemic does kick in, and we're just going rogue. It's a proper pandemic, baby. And whilst this is kind of happening for Spoke, simultaneously for me, admittedly, I'm probably going through the most crazy time of my life, if I'm totally honest with you. Like, just a lot of different personal things were happening. So with the wake of the pandemic coming in, it meant there's no live shows, there's no studio, there's no music, just wasn't a thing. And a big chunk of everything that I've been doing up to that point was all around me being in the community, doing like workshops or mentoring people, or me going on stages, whether it's open mics or festival, whatever it might be, and just performing. And all of that was gone. Even going to the studio, gone. Like, everything was gone. And a big part of my identity was tied to being Lemzy, the artist. So that being ripped away was very, very difficult for me. I went through a significant breakup. Very, very difficult again, because that part of my identity as someone in a stable relationship with a significant other disappeared. So it's very, very difficult. There are a couple of bereavements that happened anywhere between 2019 to 2021 as well. So again, it felt like there's this melting pot of, I don't know how to describe it, but emotionally, and as a guy being very, very real, I didn't really let my emotions be a driving force for me for a long time. But from 2019 to 2021 to early 2022, I'd say, is very significant. Like, how I felt became a dominant question to myself. So I had to always like check in with myself. And that means I ended up practicing a few different things, which either I'd neglected or suppressed, or I had started bringing them into the fold and they were new. So stuff like long walks. Like, during a pandemic, I I'm an outside motion person. Even this, I'm standing up while I'm doing it rather than just sitting down. Like, I like to move, and I like to just move around. So during the pandemic, I go on these long ass walks. I think the longest one I did was like 8 hours, like long ass walks. I think average was probably about 3 hours that I'd walk, 2 3 hours, something like that. But it was literally just for the sake of I can roam around. I feel a bit more free. I feel a bit more liberated if I can bounce. But number two, I just needed to process stuff. Like, I was really having to just process how I was feeling and the effect it was having on me, and the fact I didn't have an outlet to really channel it into as well. So long walks. I started journaling because I felt like I was struggling to write lyrics for a little bit, but I knew I had so much to say. And it kind of led me to just writing down these sentences, which became more sentences, which became paragraphs, which became chapters, which became, yeah, a lot. I had a lot of stuff. I think there's a thing that I wrote on my laptop called Life of Lek, which I'll never put out because it's just for me, really and truly. But it's at least, I think it got to like 65 pages. I was like, this could be a book if I wanted to, but I'm gonna leave it there. It just shows the extent of how much I needed to process in that kind of short time. Meditation. Meditation became a genuine thing that I started practicing as well, just because I had heard about it. I had never really I never really bought into it, if I'm honest with you. And I think it's because of the main reason that, like, we do spoke. I was getting the right message from the wrong messenger. I was getting the right answers from the wrong person. Like, people that were saying, oh, meditate, meditate. It was very much this yoke. Like, it didn't connect, and it didn't feel like this is something I should do until I hit that point of, I need to try something. Like, I need to try something else. And I think meditation can be for everyone, but I think it works best for certain people. Like, for me personally, sitting down in silence with very little stimulus helps me process whatever I was going to say my inner chaos, but my inner thoughts and feelings and whatever experiences I've got going on inside are, simply because I thrive off of I can thrive off of a lot of external stimulus. I don't know if I have ADHD. I don't know in it. I don't know in it. I might. My sister believes I do. I don't know in it. But regardless, being able to just be still was initially a challenge for me as well. Whereas, like, I can't really do this very well. Like, I feel like I have to move. I feel like I have to open my eyes. I feel like I have to do something. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time essentially. But generally, just through practicing it and just through understanding for myself, there's a lot of things that I need to work through personally. That's what helped me just convince myself I need to do it. And also just watching a lot of people like early Sam Harris. Who else was there? There was a lot of people that I was just listening to speak, and meditation seemed to be like a constant thread between all of them. I'll include prayer as well. Like, I was praying before that anyway. But I'm a man of faith, is what I say in it. Like, I'm not necessarily spiritual in terms of like crystals and chakras to a degree, because that is actually a physiological thing, but like crystals and all that stuff, not really. And I do believe in a sense of God, which to me is like the factors of love, wisdom, connection. Those main three things, in fact, which we all have. It's ubiquitous. It's within all of us, and it connects all of us. So I think that's very, very important. But we're like these physical beings as well, so we can't negate that as well. Let me not go too much on a tangent. What was I saying? But yeah, prayer. Prayer was a big thing. Meditation, prayer, long walks, journaling, all the things that people tell you to try and do. I tried them all because I was like, I'm down and out. I'm low. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? All of these different questions that I'd ask myself. And I think Spoke and me going through that personal journey just found each other at the right time, even though that might sound cliche. It literally did happen like that. Where Ari must have hit me up maybe in like May or something like that, May 2020. And then from there, it was just like, there's a few people who, well, no, I think I introduced her to a couple people, Boy Nash, that is, Moke, and maybe a couple others came in as well who I didn't introduce her to, Sharifa Energy and Aruba Red. We were like the initial 5 of just trial and error. Like, we do a couple Instagram lives, we do a couple meetings, all of this different stuff, just to see like what's the energy and what's the vibe. And from doing all of that, I think from like July, August, I was kind of like the one who came through. And yeah, from August 2020, I was there, and it was my job basically being an artist for Spoke. And yeah, like, because I've already waffled a lot, and hopefully you're even still watching this, I don't know, but I just get to the meat of like what Spoke has been since then as well, which essentially has been a way of me dipping bag into a bag that I completely left behind, i.e. my spoken word bag. I completely left that behind for a little while because I'd become a little bit disgruntled with the spoken word scene. I just felt like it was a bit, it was corny. I'll be real. It just felt corny at one point where I was just like, we're all saying the same thing about, no, we're all saying the same thing in a very similar way, and we're all clicking for each other, and it's just very like, it's echo chambery. Like something needs to break out of this and give a new perspective or a new delivery or just something. And I think that's why I exited and just focused on music for a while in it. But this helped me dip back into that bag of like, things don't have to be bar 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 bar. It can be much freer with the execution and expression as we do. And then on top of that, and the beauty of what Spoke does and delivers is the fact that it does assimilate these proven techniques. So I've now sat down with a bunch of different psychotherapists, counselors, CBT therapy or psychotherapists, neuroscientists. I've had my brain scanned at one point. There's different things or different people, sleep specialists, general meditation gurus and practitioners as well. Different people that have just enhanced my ability to interpret those things and then implement it into the music that we make specifically for Spoke. So yeah, man, I think one of the sickest things is that like it's currently being recognized for its innovation, because what we have been doing, let me go back, sorry, there's one name in particular who I need to shout out, and it's Daniel Miles. Daniel Miles was the producer as well as executive producer for Spoke for a good year and a half, just under 2 years, I'd say, something like that anyway. And a lot of the sounds that you hear on Spoke have been curated, produced, made by him at the very, very, very beginning. So before we even knew about the science, like it was just purely the art. It was the art and trying to create a formula with the art. And he's done a lot, like a lot. Me and him developed quite a good partnership as we like grew to understand each other's working styles a little bit more, and just who the other person was a bit more. He's very like raw, authentic with how he was, so I got to know him quite quick. Funny enough, I always say I'm transparent in all of this stuff, and even this might feel like it, but I feel like sometimes I take slightly longer to get there, or you have to ask me the right questions, and then I'm properly like, all right, I'm in my bag, like you get it all kind of thing, innit? But yeah, we developed a good relationship. We made some really, really good music. He learned a lot of the science stuff as well. We had some audio science specialists that came in. Shout out to Kinda Studios, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, we've just been developing since then. We're on a bit of a hiatus, ironically, despite the fact that we're going to South by Southwest and we'll hopefully win this award and everything. But coming back, I'll be real, this is the year of uncertainty for me. It's the Ikigai year where I'm hoping some of those alignments that have previously happened come back into the fold strong this year. And yeah, man, I really hope that Spoke wins. But even just outside of Spoke, the entity, me, when it comes to this space of the crossover between tech, music, and well-being, like those, that trifecta there, I feel like I've kind of found myself nestling in here. And probably one thing I should have said right at the beginning, and I'm going to say it right now, I am not the mental health guy, okay? I just want to make that so clear and obvious. I care a lot about mental health, but I also care a lot about physical health, about emotional health, about financial health, about spiritual. I am very holistic when it comes to all of that stuff, and I feel like I go from the full spectrum of deep, reflective thoughts and sitting down and meditating or just conversing with people, etc., to full on, I'm having a great fucking time, just pure enjoyment, we're turning up, and all of it to me is a part of well-being. Like all of it is important, because if you are just over here and you're just in meditation land and you're just reflecting on the self, you become an island almost and you're isolated. If you're just over here, you kind of only live in the present and you kind of forget to not embrace everything, but just reflect on everything that has come before and what might come after, but using those moments of enjoyment to fuel whatever comes next. So yeah, I try and do everything. I try and beat everything. I try and just I just try and keep it real. Like, this is it. As I said, I'm in my yard. This is BareFace. Hopefully you have more of an insight into like how I've got into this whole frame of spoke, what spoke is, some of the stuff that we do, because I haven't. There's so much more that I could talk about, but I know that I've stood here and spoken for a long time. Um, That's one thing I'm gonna get better at, the MMMs. But yeah, man, this is Bareface. Whatever it is, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please just let me know if there's any questions, anything else that you'd like me to talk about. Like, there's infacts which I can go into deeper. We've definitely got a couple of clips for that coming. There's some of the music that I've been making or previously made, which, again, if you're interested, I can talk about the CP and why it's a CP and blah blah blah. Even though there's, again, interviews for that already. And just general thoughts. Like, you can see the top that I'm wearing. Like, I do care a lot about certain social political things, which at some point I'll definitely be talking about. But for now, I'm finna rest. Finna rest because I'm off to Texas in 2 days, man. But yes, we outie.